Hey everyone, welcome back. It's so great to have you here today. I have an intriguing topic for you, one that might sound a bit strange at first: flying monkeys. Yes, you heard that right. Now, I know that might sound odd, but trust me, there's much more to it, and I'll dive into that in just a moment. Before we get started though, don't forget to hit that bell and subscribe to our channel. You won't want to miss out on all the upcoming videos we have lined up, not just about flying monkeys, but also about the complex world of narcissism. Make sure to get those notifications so you can stay informed about everything you need to know, and maybe even a few things you never realized you should. Now, let's talk about flying monkeys. In today's video, we're going to tackle something crucial: what to do when the narcissist in your life starts using others as pawns to turn them against you. This might sound like something straight out of a psychological thriller, but unfortunately it's all too real for those who are living in the toxic world of narcissism. If you're familiar with the term flying monkeys, you already know that this isn't just some abstract idea, it's an emotional manipulation tactic that narcissists use to control and isolate you. So what exactly does it mean when we talk about flying monkeys? Simply put, it refers to a situation where a narcissistic person in your life, whether they're someone you're currently dealing with or someone who has already ingrained themselves in your world, reaches out to people who are important to you. These could be your friends, family members, co-workers, or anyone within your circle of trust. The narcissist's goal is sinister. They try to poison these relationships by spreading lies and negative stories about you, often in a very manipulative and calculated way. Why do they do this? The main aim of the narcissist is to disrupt your support system, the very foundation that keeps you grounded. By targeting the people who care about you and twisting their perceptions, the narcissist works to weaken your emotional defenses and sway others to their side. This is their attempt to control not just you, but also your connections, creating a network of supporters who are unknowingly working in the narcissist's favor. It's a form of emotional abuse that can be incredibly difficult to recognize, especially because it often involves the narcissist pretending to be the victim, which makes it hard for others to see through the manipulation. So, how should you deal with flying monkeys when they start appearing in your life? What do you do when people you care about begin to question you based on the narcissist's lies? Stay tuned, because that's exactly what we're going to discuss in the upcoming sections. But for now, just know that understanding this manipulation tactic is the first step in protecting yourself and keeping your relationships intact. One of the most commonly observed dynamics in relationships involving narcissists often unfolds when a couple is going through a divorce. Having been married, both individuals are already familiar with each other's extended families and social circles. In these situations, the narcissistic spouse, feeling threatened by the separation, will start reaching out to people in their partner's world. They begin planting seeds of doubt, spreading terrible stories about their soon-to-be ex, in an attempt to turn those around them into allies. The narcissist's goal is to chip away at the support system of their partner, who is typically the healthier, more emotionally stable person in the relationship. They aim to weaken this support structure and sometimes even increase their own position of power, hoping to sway opinions to their advantage. For the person on the receiving end of this, the emotional toll is immense. Already battered by the constant manipulation and gaslighting in the narcissistic relationship, they now face an additional layer of torment. The very people they once trusted start doubting them. It's a cruel tactic, designed to destabilize and isolate the victim, pushing them further into self-doubt and confusion. Now, you might be wondering, how is it that a narcissist can manage to turn others against their partner with such ease? What is it that makes them so convincing? The truth is, narcissists are incredibly charming, often to the point of being magnetic. They possess a unique charisma and an ability to make others feel special and valued. This skill isn't reserved just for their intimate relationships. Narcissists know how to work a room, and more importantly, they know how to manipulate the people around you. They can weave a narrative that paints them as the sympathetic party, all while twisting the facts and turning the situation on its head. In many cases, narcissists will approach others with carefully crafted stories about the emotional strain they've been under, about how hard they've worked on the relationship. Then, with a seamless shift, they'll tell their version of the story, claiming that they've been mistreated by their partner. "I need to tell you some terrible things about your daughter, your friend, or your sister," they might say, pulling people into a web of deceit. The lies they spread aren't just exaggerated. Sometimes they invent entire fabricated stories, drawing on past arguments or even making up completely new scenarios. They can be that convincing and that heartlessly cruel in their manipulation. At the core of a narcissist's behavior lies a singular, driving motivation: power. But how do they achieve power? The answer is simple: they need to gather people to their side. It's a game of numbers for them. And ironically, this strategy isn't much different from the games we played as children on the school playground. In that world, the goal was to gather a team and become the reigning champion of the game. The narcissist, however, continues to play those childish games well into adulthood. For them, victory is the ultimate goal, winning others over, securing their loyalty, and in turn, feeling more powerful than ever. Each person they recruit to their side brings them a little more control, a little more dominance over their partner, and the secondary satisfaction of knowing they are further isolating and undermining the one person who could truly stand in their way. So what do you do when you find yourself in a situation where a narcissist is systematically turning others against you? We already understand that narcissists love to use flying monkeys, those they manipulate into doing their bidding. But the real question is, what should you do in the face of such betrayal? How do you respond when the people you once considered close, perhaps even family or dear friends, begin to distance themselves without explanation? The first and most important step is to allow yourself to process the emotions that arise. When you realize the narcissist in your life has managed to sway those around you, turning them against you, there's a deep sense of grief and loss. You may feel as if the ground beneath you is shifting, and you can't make sense of what's happening. Suddenly, people are not returning your calls, canceling plans without reason, or avoiding you entirely. The emotional impact can be overwhelming, like the air has been sucked out of your world. There's a story I've heard about a man who had a narcissistic brother. The narcissist craved constant admiration and wanted to be the center of attention in the family. In stark contrast, his brother was a genuinely kind and compassionate person. The narcissist began spreading malicious rumors, telling anyone who would listen terrible things about his kind-hearted sibling. The non-narcissistic brother didn't live near the family, so when he showed up at a family gathering, he was blindsided by how cold and indifferent everyone was. He couldn't comprehend it. He spent days agonizing over what had gone wrong. Was it something he had said or done? Had he forgotten a key event? Did someone in the family pass away, and he hadn't expressed his condolences? The confusion and hurt were unbearable. Months later, someone from that social circle took pity on the kind brother and explained that his narcissistic sibling had been spreading lies about him. The revelation was a shock. He couldn't believe it. As he spoke with others, it became clear how easily they had been manipulated. The narcissist had deceived them so thoroughly, and it was heartbreaking to see how quickly they turned on him. The complex family dynamics made the betrayal all the more painful. It was devastating to the kind brother, who now felt isolated from the very network that had once supported him. He entered a period of deep grief, mourning the loss of connections that had been an integral part of his life for so long. If any of you have experienced something similar, the question becomes, what do you do now? The damage narcissists cause isn't confined to personal relationships. It can reach into your workplace, your community, and even your family. But the narcissist, lacking empathy, doesn't consider the long-term effects of their actions. They don't care about the harm they inflict, but the hurt they leave in their wake is real, and it can leave you feeling abandoned and betrayed. I spoke with the kind brother during this time, asking him, "Do these people matter to you? Do you care about them?" He replied, "Yeah, they do," and I told him, start reaching out to them again, but don't go in with the intention of defending yourself. Don't try to explain things or accuse your brother of being a narcissist. The last thing you want is to fuel the drama by attacking or explaining. Simply reconnect. Be yourself. These people cared for you before they were influenced by your brother's words. Show them the real you, and in time they'll begin to see the truth. And that's exactly what he did. He didn't go in with anger or resentment, he just reintroduced himself into their lives. Slowly, the relationships began to heal, proving that kindness and sincerity can often overcome the manipulation of a narcissist. It wasn't easy, but it was the right path. What was truly striking about the situation was how, during the conversation, the people involved gradually realized what a genuinely kind and thoughtful man he was. Despite the confusion and the negative rumors that had circulated, they slowly began to reconsider their perception of him. At one point, he candidly addressed the issue, acknowledging the discord within his family. With humility, he said, "There have been some things happening in our family that I'm truly sorry for. If you were told things that painted me in a bad light, I apologize. Unfortunately, some inappropriate conversations likely took place, and I deeply regret that you were exposed to them." Bit by bit, this openness allowed the people around him to reassess their judgment, and those who had always known him to be a good man found their way back to him. However, the more painful truth was revealed by the people who didn't come back. A significant number of them had been swayed by the manipulative stories spread by his narcissistic brother. When the kind-hearted brother confided in me, I told him, if they could turn away so easily, were they ever truly worth keeping in your life? I realized this might sound like an oversimplification, but these weren't just casual acquaintances, they were people he had known for decades. And yet, when faced with the slightest whisper of a lie, they distanced themselves. This raises an important question: if someone could be lost so quickly based on a single narrative, how strong were those relationships to begin with? And more crucially, why didn't these people come to him directly to hear his side of the story? If there's a narcissist involved, causing harm by spreading falsehoods, shouldn't those who care about you come straight to you before making judgments? It's the ones with the deepest, most genuine connections that will stand by you when the storm hits. One woman in his circle, a person of remarkable character, approached him and said, "This isn't right. You don't deserve this." Her courage and integrity inspired others to speak up as well. In the following weeks, more people began to step forward, acknowledging that the accusations didn't make sense. The people who truly understood him saw the situation for what it was, and they were not easily manipulated by lies. For anyone who has faced this kind of deceit, rebuilding your sense of self is an essential step when you know you've done nothing wrong. The pain of betrayal, the discomfort of having your relationships tested, and the cruel nature of such situations can be deeply unsettling. Watching people you once trusted falter is a hard pill to swallow. Yet, in some twisted way, the narcissist might have inadvertently done you a favor. If they could turn people against you so easily, it forces you to reflect on the nature of those relationships. What was truly holding them together in the first place? The advice I offer to anyone dealing with the fallout of this kind of manipulation is to rebuild with grace. These people have known you for who you truly are, and narcissists thrive on exploiting vulnerability. They're master manipulators, capable of charming even the most discerning individuals. But if you rise above, handling the situation with dignity and composure, you'll disarm the narcissist's power. A simple, heartfelt conversation can go a long way. You might say, "I've heard that some hurtful things were said about me, and I'm sorry that you were exposed to those falsehoods. By doing so, you not only disempower the narcissist but also bring clarity and truth to the situation." The light of honesty will always shine brighter than the darkness of lies. Narcissistic individuals are driven primarily by insecurity. Their need for control and validation often manifests in the way they treat others, turning relationships into strategic games. People, to them, are not individuals with feelings but mere pieces on a chessboard, moved around to serve a singular purpose: winning the game. When a narcissist manipulates or spreads malicious rumors about those close to them, it's all part of their grand strategy. The question they ask themselves is not about care or compassion, but how many people can I sway to my side before I declare checkmate? But here's the truth: you can checkmate them first. All it takes is being your authentic self. Stand strong in who you are and refuse to play into their game. It's important to remember that, in the world of narcissism, the lines between what should and should not be shared are blurred. Your narcissistic partner or acquaintance may expose private details of your relationship, things that should have remained confidential. It's a painful experience to realize that your trust has been betrayed, particularly when they twist your words or share secrets you had confided in them, even if those secrets were meant to be kept between the two of you. For instance, you may have revealed a family secret to your narcissistic partner in a moment of vulnerability, only for them to use that very secret against you. The heartache is compounded when these deeply personal revelations become ammunition in their hands. Sadly, in some cases, the damage may be irreparable. You can attempt to fix the rift, but not all wounds can be healed, no matter how hard you try. Sometimes families seek therapy to rebuild relationships, but the process is rarely simple. Healing is a long road, especially when trust has been broken in such a profound way. What makes it even more difficult is the realization that by the time you understand the full extent of a narcissistic personality, years may have passed. Relationships, especially those that span years or decades, often involve the sharing of confidences, personal histories, and sometimes even family secrets. The idea that these private moments could be weaponized against you is truly devastating. But the reality is that, in a narcissistic relationship, your deepest vulnerabilities are often exploited, and those secrets may very well come back to haunt you. If this happens to you, there is little recourse other than to address the rupture as best you can. Talk to the other person involved, and if you've shared things you shouldn't have, own up to it. Taking responsibility is important, but it doesn't guarantee that things will return to normal. The narcissist has already rallied others to their side, creating a web of manipulation and confusion. In this situation, you may feel destabilized, confused, and completely alone. This is one of the most insidious forms of gaslighting, where the narcissist distorts reality to the point that you question everything, including your own perception of events. I urge anyone in this situation to seek professional help. Therapy can be a lifesaver during these times, especially when you feel like your world is crumbling. It's crucial to have someone on your side, someone who can help you navigate this emotional minefield. You're not alone in this. Like the story of the brother I shared earlier, there will be people in your life who will see through the narcissist's lies and stand by you. In these moments, even a few allies can make all the difference. If you've shared a personal secret with the narcissist, and they choose to use that secret as a weapon, the only thing left to do is acknowledge the situation and explain what happened. After all, there is little else you can do except face the truth of what transpired and hope for the best. And while some people may choose to walk away from you, it's important to recognize that their departure may reflect more about them than it does about you. If they could leave so easily, perhaps there wasn't much to the relationship in the first place. One of the most painful aspects of dealing with a narcissist is the fallout caused by their manipulation of others, the so-called flying monkeys. These individuals are often those closest to you, people you trust, who have been turned against you by the narcissist's deceitful words. This manipulation, this deliberate sowing of discord, can be one of the most horrific outcomes of being involved with a narcissist. The emotional toll is often unbearable. Thank you for joining me in this discussion. As difficult as these topics are, it's important to talk about them. If you're going through something like this, know that you're not alone. We're hosting retreat seminars and live events where we take a deeper dive into these challenges. Remember, healing is a journey, and it's okay to seek support along the way.